you need to know your trade for sure, because people will suss you out. They will see that you don't know what you're doing. I've been in those situations where I aimed too high and I didn't, come across as somebody knowledgeable. And basically confidence. I think, once you know your trade, you have to be able to, sell it, like whatever it is.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the world of AI, fashion and more, brought to you by AI Aesthetic. I'm your host Duncan, and this is the show where I interview AI experts, e-commerce and fashion leaders who share their stories and insights to help you learn and grow your e-commerce business faster. So subscribe now on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. In this episode, I interview Valeria Siniouchkina, Circular Economy Ambassador, Sustainable Fashion Strategist and Brand Manager at BE THE FIBRE. Valeria has been a designer and entrepreneur in fashion for the last 20 years at LordsxLilies, Komono and OMSK Belgium. We cover what is the circular economy, how you can approach it embracing the 3 Ps, what fashion brands and businesses you can look to for inspiration. This is a great primer on circularity and sustainability. Enjoy. Valeria, welcome to the show.
Hello, nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's great to have you. So just to kick us off, do you have a favorite quote or something that inspires you or motivates you that you could share with us?
I basically feel like maybe as a child I had a quote already that followed me, which is nothing is brought to you on a silver platter. That's something that I really feel is something in my life, at least, has been a thread.
That's it. Okay.
As challenging as it is, it's brought its downs and ups, and then the other one, it's got to do with empathy, and that's don't do upon others what you don't want them to do to you, and that's something that I really feel strongly about.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, great start. Okay, so I think what would be great for some of our listeners to hear is, for those that are not so familiar with your background, your expertise, could you tell us a little bit about, what do you do, who's it for, what are the problems or the solutions that you're working on or offering people?
Basically, I'm a Russian origin with Ukrainian roots. That already is quite complex, and I'm now in Belgium for 32 years. Lived in Canada, Switzerland, Moscow, and now I'm basically in the fashion industry since over 20 years. I had my own brand, exporting around the world, also working for other brands as a designer mostly, but also retail manager. And basically, after COVID, I've kind of shifted towards a more professional approach to sustainability and circular economy within the textile industry, but also working on another project within circular cities.
Okay.
So that's basically my quick intro. I'm a women orchestra. So I have an entrepreneurial mind, and I work with a team, but I can also work very well on my own. Basically, what we're doing now is I work for a textile collector. So it's basically end-of-life textile waste collector here in Belgium. That is the only one which offers also circular solutions to recycling. The understream. So basically, we work with innovative partner in the EU who proposes a mechanical recycling from which, so it's like fiber to fiber. It's going quite technical directly, my apologies. But we make bags from textile waste. Basically, we make accessories from textile waste. And we'll look for other circular solutions once they will be available. So we keep our finger on the pulse at all times to see what other ways we can work with other stakeholders to see how to reduce basically the mountain of textile waste that is gradually building up on our planet.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I saw something actually the other day. Someone posted a satellite image in like Chile.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've seen this image that's been
no,
circulating of basically a sort of an agglomeration of landfill that's just clothing waste that comes off the ships in Chile, and they kind of just dump it there, and you can see it from the satellite, which is just,
that's depressing.
it's depressing. It's depressing. But let's pause that
Let's not
depressing
go into
thought
that. But
for
that
a
just
moment. We'll
no, but
come.
that well also that it basically brings me what you're saying, like what are the problems we're trying to solve is that the end consumer or the citizen who is also donating, let's say clothing, because how we get our end of life textile waste is through containers of different sorts, you know. So
Yep.
basically it's like organizations and citizens, you know, these classical metal containers that you have in the city or whatnot.
Yep.
But people before didn't really mind what they were throwing in and where it was going. However, things like what you say now make people think twice before they throw their stuff that they don't want into these containers, and they actually want to know where this stuff is going. So they are going on your website and they do want to see that it's not going to end up in Chile or Africa or whatever. So basically,
Yeah.
that's where our problem lies, is that we really need to be careful what kind of information how to communicate with people about the truth of what we do, and we have nothing obviously to hide. However, there's dark and shady areas when it comes to textile waste reinjection into the market, or how it actually ends up in landfills, although they say it doesn't. So it's that kind of stuff where have to mitigate as a, as a risk when we talk to people and as an
For sure.
organization every day.
For sure, for sure. So before I think we were going to get into, and our listeners are really interested to hear like your perspective on the circular economy, and we're going to get into that, I'm sure, in a moment. But before we do that, I'm always interested just to hear a little bit about, what, you said you've been in fashion for something like 20 years and been a designer. What prompted or what inspired you to pursue a career in fashion?
Well, fashion is generational. My mom, my grandma, and me, I think from the age of 6. I have a diary that says that I want to be a fashion designer when I was 6. So
Okay.
basically, like as soon as I finished secondary school, I come from a post-Soviet era childhood where I got a bit of that in me as well, because I'm the last generation of pioneers that said hooray to Lenin and whatnot. And so basically, I have a father who didn't really let me kind of decide what I should be doing with my future. So after I finished secondary school, I had to go to law school in Brussels, and I did a year of that. That was misery because it was in French. I speak 4 languages, but this was my second foreign, so that was a challenge. And basically, afterwards, I said to him, "Look, this is not for me, and I'm going into fashion. That's it." So I had to prove myself to him and say, like, "Look, I can do this," and I did it for a long time. And it had its successes, it had its downfalls, but voilà, that's fashion. I think passion for fashion, as cheesy as it sounds, it's that. And I still have it now, but it's sort of channeling into a different direction. So still follow up on all the fashion weeks, etc.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than a show for me. I go crazy, but there's other things that I'm more interested in now, which
What
is,
prompt?
huh?
Yeah. What prompted that kind of shift in your interest to sustainability and
I think I noticed it. I think 2015, 2016. I was working for quite a big Belgian brand, and their collections were massive, and they literally had overproduction. They were overproducing, over designing, overspending, and then most of it even didn't go to end production, or didn't make it to the shops. And even if they had like an outlet that sold a lot of the stuff, afterwards a lot of the stuff didn't make it even to the shops or an outlet, so it was waste. And now that kind of triggered the kind of the nonchalant negligence really, really disturbed me because I come from having my own brand where we did have control. It was a smaller
Yeah.
scale brand, but at least we had control over, what kind of factory in Portugal we use, what kind of people lived, worked there. They were well paid. Back then, it was sort of a thing that nobody really cared about. And so, but for me, on an ethical level, personally, it was something that really triggered something. I didn't really understand what it was until I think I heard about the donut economy, and that was a few years ago. And then COVID hit, and I basically started studying again business management in a really good school here in Brussels at the age of 40. I'm 45, at the age of 40, what then, 2. And then I did another program in lockdown, or yeah, in Cambridge University, and it was like a short program that's called Circular Economy and Sustainable Strategies, and it's with a cohort, I think, of 400 people around the world, and that was 2 years ago, and that was super exciting, and that basically kind of molded me a bit more with, to be able to work within the field of sustainability, but I'm more interested in textile. So
Yeah.
that's how it got to a point where I managed to get my first job, let's say, within this sphere, which is a big opportunity for me. I'm quite excited.
Fantastic. So could you explain to us a little bit, for those that are, not so familiar, what is a circular economy?
I think there's a word in it that already gives it away a bit, and that's well, obviously circularity. It's basically trying to extend the life cycle of products, or to have less waste. As much as sustainability is like using less resources than Earth provides, circular economy is more like it's more of a strategy within sustainability. It's more, how do we strategize on creating how to make it last, use it better, and closing the loop are the main ways of looking at that. And if you want to go deeper, you have things like it's called looping, where you're recycling waste that already exist, or reusing it, refurbishing, recycling, the R's, recycle, reuse, remake. Then you have regeneration, where you are basically like creating spaces or businesses where you're using what Earth gives you, and you use that, and that regenerates automatically. And breaks down, it regenerates. It can be a green rooftop or whatever. It can be like mushrooms grown and then made into a vase, and then breaks down and goes back into Earth. And then you have like localization. This is like working with local partners, stakeholders, citizens, to create is a more of a positive community involving everybody who can actually make this sometimes simple gesture. That's that. Then you have substitution. And substitution is when you basically replace anything that is harmful to the Earth by something which is good for or we're using something that is not harming the Earth. Like if you say, fossil fuel, you replace it with something else. If you're using, but you see, and then sharing is one last one. Sharing, and that if you are renting, if you are repairing, renting, like cars, to reduce waste, basically. So that's basically like that.
No, that's really helpful. Yeah, and that's really helpful because it's a sort of concept which, you're right. The clue's in the kind of phrase, but it's used quite a lot. But people don't necessarily know the kind of different dimensions and the impact of what we're talking about, and it leads us on to Be the Fibre, because I think it would be helpful. And I know you mentioned it briefly a moment or two ago, but just walk us through the kind of the life cycle. I suppose it'd be really interesting of how it works from, starting from sourcing the material, making, selling, and distributing, and how does that kind of complete life cycle work with Be the Fibre?
Well, we are part of a big organization called Wereldmissiehulp, which means World Mission Help, which exists 40 years already, and it's like basically, it's a non-profit organization that helps social development projects across the world. So basically, like I just came a month ago back from Uganda in Africa, where we are building a school, a primary school. So basically, what we sell, we give to the partially to project development projects, and basically what we do is we collect textile waste. We bring it to the where to actually we work with we'll do it in Belgium. So we work with the sorteren. How do you say that? To sort per category. Yep. We do it also in Belgium. We do it in a sheltered workspace. So you have people who have slight handicaps or have difficulty being on a classical work market. So they would be doing that kind of job. This is reinsertion programs. So we sort that there. Then, the upstream and cream, which is like the best of secondhand, is resold. So we can generate money through, let's say, wholesale buyers of secondhand clothing, but good ones, certified. Some of it is sold through our shop, and then the understream, which is things that you can't really resell or are recycled through a mechanical process. A mechanical process is done by the only company in the world at this point that can do A to Z. So they also collect or sort and fiberize and then reweave the old clothing. They shred, reweave it into a new fiber. And essentially you get then like a laptop case, which is made from 60% post-consumer waste, and some PET, which is recycled plastic. And they can recycle all sorts of fabric together, because what happens now generally is that you need to have either cotton or polyester or linen, and this is a company that is one unique in the world that does all of it together. And so you get funky colors, mostly pastel. So you have to have a lot of clothing in similar colors to get a pink, or to get like, this is denim. So that kind of stuff. So that's basically, we make collections from that. We use overstock materials as well. For example, we make bags that have recycled jeans straps, or the PVC from trucks, leftover PVC from trucks, I don't know how tarpaulin, I don't remember. Anyway, so overstock fabric. So that's kind of how we work. We sell it through shops, organizations, but the important thing for Be the Fibre is that we empower companies like banks, could be anything really, bank, energy company, post company, to retailers, chains that sell clothing, to smaller shops, to actually with us make a program of collection of goods. So my idea was to bring indoor containers that are compact and quite nice, like printed, that can handle 80 to 90 kilos, and place them. They're not big, they're 50, centimeters. Place them inside, and then we make a collection. So they have to incentivize their employees to bring clothing, or the end customer. And then you get a reduction on our products, or, you get a reduction on the whole shop. And that's how then we collect them. And then our whole process goes into then again recycling, and the end result is to help social projects around the world.
So tell me about the social project. It's completely circular. So and the social projects that you mentioned you were in, so funding a school and education is important. So how are those projects decided, or how does that work?
We have people in the organization who are responsible for the social projects and how they are run. But let's say like there are certain things like schools, we mostly build buildings. So now in Uganda, we help to build in 2 different schools. I visited both of them. They have ours, the one that we're practically completely building, from basically nothing practically there. There are 400 children there, and half of them are orphans, and then you have 30 who have AIDS, etc., etc. So that now is then how to decide when to stop. So now we build the buildings and then you get out. So now it's basically going into more like, okay, can we do something else for them? Then you have things like Ukraine, Syria, Turkey. These are more flash actions that we do. So we basically gather other things like through the Post, the organization BE Post, which is our national post company. We collected books, things like that for kids in Ukraine. And we just sent a truck there last week. Syria and Turkey with the earthquake, you know what you need. You need, for the energy, you need some clothes, etc. So it's really like specific tasks. If it's a short project, if it's a long term, then you really are going into development, like infrastructure. So it's very multi-layered. But we've been doing this for 40 years, so there is expertise in this field.
That sounds it. Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about this, and and as an expert in sustainability and, from a circular economy perspective, but more broadly just sustainability, what should e-commerce clothing brands be doing? What should they be? What are the practical things, if you were to say, what are the practical things that they should be doing now?
Well, look, I think there's different stages of this kind of communication. You've seen this has been going on already for the sustainability vibe, let's say, or the interest in it, and the green marketing and whatnot. Greenwashing, let's say, also has been around for a decade maybe or under. So that is like already passé. For me, that I study a little bit what marketing, what kind of green marketing companies are providing online. And I think, the basic, you have to have 2 stages, I think. You have to have like a level up, a deep dive, and sort of like easy. So you have to catch your customers who know now about sustainability. How do you catch them in a different way from your competitors? You can have a humoristic way, like Patagonia in their videos. You can say like, oh, I'm going to make a film. It's going to be catchy. It's going to be a bit, tongue-in-cheek, the kind of vibe. Or you can be super serious, like C&A, which is a Belgian brand, German and Belgian. Theirs is super serious. They're like going into really like deep dive into bio cotton, all this kind of stuff. I think what depends is what is your DNA? Because sustainability stands on 3 Ps: people, planet, profit. And so basically what you're saying there is, what are your social, corporate responsibility goals? As a company, are you trying to put forward? Is it your interest in helping the environment? Because sustainability is not only environment, it's also people, and what you do with the profit that you generate. So that's basically the bottom line, the 3 Ps. What is the most important P for you? Because you can't be great at everything as a brand, online or offline. What kind of people are you trying to get, and which is the most important way for you to engage them? Is it to be recognized as a leader in recycling, upcycling? Is it somebody who is engaged into planting trees? Is it somebody who is engaged into sort of like dealing your profit with your employees, like horizontal, not hierarchy, but more horizontal way of working, like Ace and Tate do. You can be a shareholder there even as an employee. So it all depends on what your goals are. And that's, I think, is the most important. The basic thing of going the CO2 emission, carbon off-print, blah, blah, blah. It's great if you're deep diving into your sustainability reporting. But if you are just trying to get to a customer, you need to know which is your main concern, and that's what you're going to have to work on.
That's very sensible, very sage advice in the context of people kind of pull things here or there. But I think going back to fundamentals and the kind of principle of, people,
well, we are
planet,
going
profit.
that with the sustainability and circular economy are going back to the roots of what we're doing. So then it has to work also with the communication. Why do anything else? If you're doing something else, if it doesn't come natural to you, you're basically not doing it right.
Yeah,
for
sure, for sure. So you mentioned a couple of brands there. So you mentioned Patagonia, Ciende. Are those brands that you look up to for inspiration, or what are there other brands or businesses that you think are particularly useful to kind of, and thinking as well from what you've just said, clearly it's not about just kind of, it's not a kind of copy and I'm just going to copy what someone else is doing. It's actually going, as you suggested, it's about understanding your goals, your DNA as a business and what comes naturally to you. But are there any businesses or brands that you mentioned a moment ago that you would call out, or other ones?
Well, it depends really which industry, but I mean, it can be anything from when I was studying circular economy in Cambridge, I had to study also like different business cases and in building or sustainable building, or it can be IKEA, which is also a big example of sustainability. Believe it or not, H&M, believe it or not, they're doing a great job as well. They even have their own H&M channel just dedicated to videos of how to, repair, upcycle. You can say it's all, BS, but I mean, they're doing it. You're not, so you can try. You have, Patagonia is great. Like they have the fishnet situation that they're basically remaking that into caps. So they've been doing this for so long that anybody should, are and should be looking at what they're doing, definitely. In that sense. Reformation is also good. That's an American, I think you have it also in London. That's an American giant, which kind of made a secondhand cool again, and then have a part of its offer in new collections, but sustainably made. You have lots and lots of stuff. So basically, Veja, like shoes, the sneakers, those are very popular here in Belgium and France. Veja, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's Veja. So we have quite a lot of people who are now on, doing their research. So yeah, there's enough content. If you just Google sustainability report, or like, the best sustainable brands, it's going to go.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of inspiration, a lot of in just what you said to kind of for people to get their teeth into. So I'm conscious we could keep talking for quite a while, but I'm keen to kind of conclude with a quick fire round. So some questions which I love your kind of instinctive and intuitive response to. So as you think back to your 20 years plus in fashion, and what's the best piece of business, academic, or personal advice that you've received?
I think basically, if you feel like you need to follow your gut feeling. I feel like you need to know your trade for sure, because people will suss you out. They will see that you don't know what you're doing. I've been in those situations where I aimed too high and I didn't, come across as somebody knowledgeable. Gut feeling for your potential co-workers. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Humanity, human feeling, the connection between friends is as important as it is with colleagues, potential colleagues, and investors. And basically confidence. I think, once you know your trade, you have to be able to just, sell it, like whatever it is, project yourself, not sell it in a bad way, but like just, say what you are okay with, say what you're not okay with, and definitely put forward what you think should be done. Never be afraid to express your opinion unless it's not being asked for. Don't be too pushy also. Stay in your lane when it's necessary.
So that's happened, sometimes that does happen, right? It's kind of contradiction or balance. But what book would you recommend to our audience, and why?
Oh la la, yeah, I'm sort of like the generation of now I'm 45, but I'm still like one of those social media, obsessed. So a book I like is Zero Waste. No, Zero. No. Not Zero Waste. It's God. I'm gonna get it for you, but it's upstairs. It's basically how to reach. Oh my God, I forgot. Next.
Next. So, what's your favorite AI tool? Do you have a favorite AI tool?
Chat GPT, I think at this point, because I have to write content and it just helps me sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm very primitive.
Sometimes. I think it's all like everywhere. If you're not using it, it's yeah. I'd be very,
I'm
very surprised.
I'm not an expert, and you know, I have people who are already mixing Kate Moss painted by Picasso, that kind of stuff. But I'm like, yeah, whatever. Not that's.
So, what's your favorite item of clothing that you own?
I have like a sweatshirt from the 80s that has been given to me by the designer himself, and it was Baci di Roma, and it's a brand from Rome. It's one of a kind in the world because he only made one in the 80s, and he made it with there's a huge graphic design in front, and it's not replicable. He made it without a machine, you know, a computer. So he cut out things and he stuck them, and then he made it into a serigraphy silkscreen print. And it's been going on now for 30 years, and I've been wearing it for 20, and it's brilliant because it's one of a kind, and it's from the 80s, and
it's lasted.
It's lasted forever. So there you go. That's the kind of thing that inspires me.
Yeah, definitely. What's an interesting or fun fact that people would not know about you?
That I'm as confident inside that I am, that I come across.
And what's your, outside of fashion and sustainability, what are your important passions?
Travel, otherwise I feel dead inside. I think food, good food, and travel, food, fashion, and kids. My kids are also a passion.
Yeah.
And they also wear secondhand a lot, so that's kind of, they know what I do, so they have no choice.
They live it. Yeah, it becomes part of how they grow up as well. If
Yeah.
they're wearing silk, right? It becomes, that's a kind of circular from, that's just what you're used to. So thanks so much, Valeria. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. It's been really, yeah, insightful. Lots to kind of think about. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way of doing that?
Just Google my name and it will turn up.
Okay. Google me and find you.
Google my name, or Google Be the Fibre. I don't know. It's I'm pretty, so I run 5 social media accounts, so pretty online, pretty much online a lot.
Pretty much online. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Valeria. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to put things in a nutshell, sort of.
as much as they can be. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Speak to you soon, Valeria.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.